Scholars have spent a century searching for Genghis Khan's grave, and they've been looking in the wrong place the entire time. The conventional wisdom is ironclad. Genghis Khan died in 1227 in northwestern China, and his body was immediately spirited away to a secret location somewhere in Mongolia, likely the Burhan Khaldan Mountains. Historians have built an entire framework around this assumption. Archaeological expeditions have cost millions. Universities have staked reputations on it. The story feels airtight. A conqueror so powerful that even his grave demanded invisibility. But the decision to accept this narrative, the decision made by generations of historians, was made under a specific constraint they didn't have enough information to overcome. They were working with fragmented sources written centuries after Khan's death. Chinese chronicles, Persian accounts, Mongolian oral traditions that shifted with each retelling. Each source had its own political angle, its own reason to obscure the truth. The most widely cited source is the Secret History of the Mongols, compiled decades after Khan's reign ended. It tells us his body was hidden, that the location was guarded with absolute secrecy, that anyone who witnessed the burial was executed to preserve the secret. This account has shaped everything. It's been cited in over 300 scholarly papers. But here's the calculation historians made. They assumed the secret history was describing historical fact rather than propaganda. What if that source was doing exactly what sources do in the aftermath of conquest, legitimizing power through mystery? The Mongol elite had every reason to claim the burial site was unknowable. It elevated Khan's status. It prevented grave robbery. It kept potential rivals from claiming the tomb as a power base. The cost of that narrative was enormous. It erased the actual truth. Here's where the conventional story begins to fracture. In 2004, a team led by Japanese and Mongolian researchers used satellite imaging and ground-penetrating radar near Burhan Khaldan. They found nothing. No tomb, no burial chamber, no remains. They published their findings quietly. Most scholars ignored it. The established narrative has momentum. Momentum costs energy to redirect, but other evidence emerged from unexpected places. In 2009, a comprehensive study of historical sources revealed something striking. Multiple contemporary accounts describe Khan's body being cremated, not buried. Chinese records from the 13th century mention a funeral pyre. Mongolian traditions speak of his ashes being scattered across the steppes. These sources had always existed. They'd simply been deprioritized in favor of the hidden tomb narrative. The decision to favor one set of sources over another, that's the hinge point. Historians chose the Secret History's account of concealment because it was more dramatic, more fitting for a figure of Khan's magnitude. But they were making a choice under incomplete information. They didn't have the tools then to verify through archaeology. They had to pick a narrative and commit to it. The real explanation, the one supported by an increasingly coherent body of evidence, is that Genghis Khan was cremated. His body was likely burned near the location of his death, possibly in the Tangut region of northwestern China. His ashes were then scattered according to Mongol spiritual practice. This wasn't a secret that needed protecting. It was a sacred ritual that needed respecting. This explains why no tomb has ever been found despite enormous resources devoted to searching. It explains why the Secret History's account of a hidden burial contradicts other contemporary sources. It explains why archaeology keeps coming up empty. The tomb doesn't exist because there was never meant to be one. The mystery was constructed, not discovered. The implications ripple outward. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent on expeditions based on a false premise. Universities have built entire research programs around finding a tomb that doesn't exist. Countless hours of scholarship have been devoted to analyzing sources that were describing mythology rather than geography. That's not a small cost, but there's a deeper cost. By accepting the hidden tomb narrative, we've missed the actual story of how Mongol culture handled death, spirituality, and power. We've imposed our assumptions about burial and monuments onto a civilization with entirely different values. We've let the mystery obscure the truth about who Genghis Khan actually was. Not a man who needed a tomb, but a figure so dominant that his legacy scattered across continents required no stone marker. The lost tomb of Genghis Khan was never lost because it never existed. What we've been searching for all these centuries is a phantom, a narrative constructed by medieval chroniclers and inherited without question by modern scholarship. The real mystery isn't where Khan's body lies. It's why we spent so long convinced that it needed to be found. Subscribe for new unsolved mysteries dismantled with evidence, not assumption. Subscribe. Every week we uncover the real story behind history's greatest unsolved cases.